Hello and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The top stories. The head of state has regained the capital after his participation in the 30th Summit of the African Union. In other international news, initiated by Moscow, the negotiations have started in Sochi. Thank you for joining us. The President of the Republic has regained the capital today after participating in the works of the 30th Ordinary Summit of the African Union that took place in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital. Upon his arrival at the international airport of Ombudi, the head of state was greeted by the members of the government and military corps. The participation of the head of state at this summit is especially marked by the important speech he made in the first working session. During this intervention, President Anglais particularly emphasized the interests of the African Union in suspending the acquisition of the economic and financial independence. Reforming our organization remains crucial and decisive for the future of our countries. It is indeed to allow our organization to strengthen its financial autonomy and consequently political, said the President of the Republic, who praised praising the mobilization shown by his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame in the context of the implementation of this last objective. It should also be noted that on the silence of this summit, President Anglais held bilateral talks with several of his counterparts, heads of states and governments participating at the 30th Summit of the African Union. The Minister of the Interior, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohamed, has this morning sponsored a ceremony to receive donations of communication information materials donated by the International Organization for Migrants to the Communication Unit of the National Office for Migration Assistance to Refugees and Sinister ONARS. This ceremony, which took place on the premises of the ONARS, saw the participation of the Executive Secretary of the ONARS, Mr. Hussein Hassan Darar, the representative of the IOM, Lani Prezami, and the representative of the HCR. In addition to the officials, this ceremony also saw the participation of employees of the National Office for Assistance to Refugees and Disasters. The Minister of the Interior was received by the Executive Secretary of the ONARS and the employees of the office. Then the Minister of the Interior officially inaugurated the new Communication Office of the ONARS, which will be in charge of the mediatization of all the activities of the Office of the ONARS. The implementation will shed more light on the mobilization and the daily humanitarian work of ONARS for refugees in disasters. Moreover, thanks to this new equipment, the visibility of the efforts led by the ONARS and the Ministry of the Interior will be assured in order to popularize the law and the two implementing decrees promulgated by the President of the Republic. The Minister of the Interior has recalled in his intervention the purpose of the equipment that makes a break to the ONARS commitment. Let's listen to him.
Today, our ceremony concerns the beginning of the communication department of the ONARS, which will play a key role in the Department of the Interior Ministry. This idea of giving equipment to the ONARS was a good one because it will give a voice to the immigrants who are in our country. I recently went to Geneva for a meeting organized by the UN. In that particular meeting, our government has shown images coming from Ethiopia and that did not reflect the reality of the immigrants in our country. It didn't show the efforts that the Egyptian government are doing for those people. That is why we have directly requested from the OEM representative a donation of communication items. So I would like to finish by thanking the OEM representative again without forgetting our good friend, the representative of the HCR, who is also present. We will continue to work forward to better represent those vulnerable people.
The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, received yesterday morning a delegation from the World Bank led by Mrs. Safa Al-Tahir, head of the education sector of the Middle East and Africa region. The Minister first thanked the World Bank for its continued support of the education sector before handing over to the Director of the Project Implementation Office. The latter presented the status of ongoing education projects in the Education Master Plan in the 2017-2019 Education Action Plan, leaving the conclusion to the Minister. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, has made an evaluation of projects that are implemented with the support of the World Bank and is almost completed. A conference on archaeological research carried out in the Republic of Djibouti was held yesterday at the Third Center for Studies in Scientific Research. Two archaeologists, namely Javier Gutierrez and Jesse Coltes, exposed to the participants the results of their research and the contents of their work on several areas or ancient sites. They thus discovered on the sector called Asakoma in the Gubat Basin, a Neolithic site relating to the last period of the Stone Age is between 10,000 to 7,000 years. This site, located 100 kilometers from Leka Bay, has been the subject of several excavation campaigns dating from the 2nd millennium BC. This site has provided abundant objects, wooden objects, decorated ceramics, bone tools and ornaments. The Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, the French ambassador to Djibouti, Christophe Guillot, followed the presentations of the two researchers. And this is how the Minister of Higher Education expressed himself.
I'm very glad to be here on this historic day. As a young boy, I have experienced a humanitarian exchange between French researchers who came to Djibouti in Ascoma, located in Kuwait, without knowing what they would find, but deep in themselves, they believed in the uniqueness of Djibouti. When you invest yourself in a research, you're not sure to find what you are looking for, but with efforts, self-sacrifices, and a lot of patience, you have more chance to get to what you are looking for. So all of those efforts have led those brave researchers today to offer us a script on the particularity of the Djiboutian history and on the humanity itself. We have heard that the humanity came from East Africa, which is part of our history and heritage. At a time that the numeric world is increasing heavily, we somehow forget to acknowledge the importance of archaeologist researchers, and it is a mistake from us, because without those archaeological researches, we wouldn't have been able to understand climate change, and we wouldn't have the ability to better prepare ourselves against it.
Yesterday afternoon, University Secretary General Fatima Musa with the Minister of Women and Family, Mrs. Mubina Ahmed Hassan, inaugurated the antennas of the university in the Merjok. The inauguration ceremony saw the presence of community leaders in the local population of the region. In turn, the women took the floor to express their satisfaction for this initiative and made sure to take advantage of it. And they also thanked the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mohammed Haid, for her commitment to the benefit of women. In the morning, a delegation led by the Minister of Women and the Family, as well Mrs. Muna Ahmed Hassan, accompanied by University Secretary General Mrs. Fatima Musa, inaugurated the University antennas in the localities of Umar Jaga and Naita from the RTD region as well. In her intervention, the Minister of Women and Family expressed very delighted to inaugurate this antenna and said that the objective is to offer women a meeting place but also a space to learn various trainings such as sewing, embroidery, literacy and crafts, which is a level of social development. As part of the Doing Business Reform this year, ANPA organized a workshop on obtaining loans, and this meeting was organized at the People's Palace around the reforms retained in terms of criteria for obtaining loans. Central Bank Governor Ahmed Osman talked about everything to get credit, and there was talk as well of assessing the legal protection of borrowers but also of lenders in the context of transaction using a set of indicators. The meeting also saw the participation of senior officials of the public, para-public and private departments concerned, such as the Secretary General of the Ministry of Investment and Justice, as well as the Director General of the ANIP, the Resident Representative of the World Bank, Atusek, who is our country's main partner in improving the business climate and private sector development, and his staff actively participated in this meeting. Let's recall that according to the report of Doing Business, the Republic of Djibouti is one of the first countries that have made administrative reforms to improve the business climate. A delegation from the Chinese University HBGO, led by Vice President Mrs. Zhang Xiaoping, made a working visit today to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. This delegation was first received by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohammed Ali Hassan, who spoke about the privileged partnership existing between the two countries, in particular in the field of capacity building for social development and economic of Djibouti. Then the delegation was received by the Director of the Institute of Diplomatic Studies of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Musa Ali Megak, and his team. The purpose of this meeting is in the perspective of expanding the partnership network of Institute of Diplomatic Studies with a large organization. And at the end of this meeting, the Director of the Institute of Diplomatic Studies and as well Vice President of the HBGO University in China signed a memorandum of agreement laying the groundwork for a promising partnership between the Institute of Diplomatic Studies of Djibouti and the HBGO University of China. In this memorandum linking the two institutions, it was agreed to mutually develop the information exchange and training program, particularly in the field of international relations, immigration, regional integration, mediation, peace and security. In addition, in research of other programs will be developed in partnership with the HBGO University, especially in the field of education, politics, social economy, cultural, finance and languages. A launching workshop of the Djibouti Preparatory Program with the Green Climate Fund was held this morning at the People's Palace. This workshop, organized by the Ministry of the Environment in partnership with the Ecological Monitoring Center, aims to make known to the key stakeholders the opportunities offered by the GCF funding Green Climate Fund in terms of adaptation and mitigation. This workshop also aims to present the Djibouti Preparation Program with the Green Climate Fund to the various participants. This workshop is chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, Dini Abdullah Umar. And let's recall that the Green Climate Fund is a financial instrument of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It was created in 2010 by 194 countries, and it's in South Korea. This fund aims, among other things, to finance adaptation projects and mitigation and projects equally. Following the Paris Agreement, the Green Climate Fund has been given a major or important role in serving the agreement in supporting the overall goal of limiting global warming to less than 2 degrees. A strong delegation of the Independent National Electoral Commission (CENI), led by its President Mohamed Burhan, conducted an inspection tour in the Ali Sabih region yesterday morning. The chief of the CENI and his collaborators were received by the prefect of the region, Mohamed Wabiri Asowi, in the presence of the members of the local CENI chaired by Mohamed Abdullahi. The delegation spoke with the prefect about the conditions for organizing the next general election. The president of the CENI and his team also discussed with their colleagues in the regional commission their vital role in ensuring the transparency of the ballot. The president of the CENI has urged them to perform the most appropriate manner of their mission. The Ali Sabih Regional Hospital organized as part of the daily activities with the mobile team a multidisciplinary mini caravan with specialist doctors in the locality of Asamo. This medical caravan provided care for the population of this locality and its surroundings. Teams of specialized conducted consultations and provided care to patients who traveled in months, who took advantage of the mini caravan of specialists, namely gynecology consultation, physical, ophthalmology, pneumology, stomology, and pediatrics as well. A traffic accident occurred on the Dural Ram yesterday at 5:40 p.m. This is a Hobo truck, a dump truck carrying fuel from Bulle in circulating to Djibouti. As it drove down the Dural Ram, the driver of the Hobo truck traveling at an excessive speed in defiance of the elementary rules of caution, hit on the right and dump truck road. He did not make sure he could do it safely, and as a result of the collision, the truck is in question left his lane and collided with the trailer of the Ethiopian tank truck carrying fuel that was his normal circulation. In this accident, the 3 trucks involved suffered considerable material damage with a large fuel spill on the roadway. On the international news, delegations arrived in Sochi, Russia, on the eve of a meeting to bring together representatives of the Syrian civil and political society to advance the peaceful settlement petitioned by main opponents and Kurds. This meeting was convened on the initiative of Moscow, Bashar al-Assad main supporter, with the consent of Tehran and Ankara, with the aim of defining a new constitution for the country. This subject was also at the center of fruitless discussions on Thursday and Friday in Vienna, the airport of Sochi, a seaside resort in southern Russia on the shores of the Black Sea. Giant posters wishing peace for Syrian people were displayed for the occasion. The Syrian Negotiation Committee, which represents the main opposition group and the Kurds, targets of a Turkish offensive, refused to participate, which has sought hopes for concrete progress. It also seemed to confirm, a few days after the failure of the Vienna talks under the auspices of the United Nations, the impasse in which lies the political settlement of this conflict that has made more than 340,000 deaths since 2011. This is it for this edition. Thank you for your beloved attention.